Hey, welcome to Planet Earth. You know what that means? It means it's Friday. And I hope you had a fantastic week. And don't forget to, help out any way you can. People in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee who got hit by that storm. It's pretty bad. A lot of landslides and flooding. So if anything you can do there, hey, do what you can. How you doing today, huh? Mr. H here with you. Just another glorious day here on Planet Earth. And last week I mentioned the siege of Vienna. I've talked about it before, but a lot of people when they sent emails asking about it. Right, siege of Vienna. There were two of them. I know this because one, I'm Mr. H, and two, back in graduate school, I had to do a compare and contrast the two great sieges of Vienna in 1529 and 1683. Of course, I made an A on it, so if you have to do some kind of a term paper, hey, today's your lucky day. Now, the Ottoman Turks had taken Constantinople back in 1453. So now they're looking for the next great center of Christendom, and that would be Vienna, with the Habsburgs running the show. So in 1529, they launch an attack on Vienna, trying to storm the city. So they do what they always do: mass the cannons together, blast a hole, and try and run through it. And it didn't really work out so great. The guy running the show is Suleiman the Magnificent, 1520 to 1566, one of the greatest Ottoman sultans ever. And he was just very good at being a sultan. And, this one didn't really work out so great. He took a shot at Vienna. It didn't really work. And part of the problem is he tried it in September. And by this point, that's what's raining a lot in Austria. He tried to get his cannons up the mountain there called Kaltenberg, and it didn't really work out so great because it's wet and you can't pull things up a wet hill, especially in the 16th century. So it basically was a swing and a miss. He took a shot at it and didn't really pan out. As you can see here by the map, here's Vienna, here's the Ottoman Empire, about 1529, up or down a little bit. So they took a swing, it didn't work. So the army is still intact. They didn't lose any territory. He just took a swing at it, didn't happen. So no big deal. He had a lot of other great things he could put on the resume. Now in 1683, things are a little bit different. The Ottomans have decided they're going after Vienna again, and this time we're just going to say it's not that well organized. In 1529, the army get there intact. It didn't work out. They left intact. Didn't lose anything. In 1683, it is a complete fiasco. The Ottoman army is starting to disintegrate even before it got anywhere near Vienna. The leadership was a little bit different. See, back in 1529, Suleiman led it himself. In 1683, excuse me, the army is not being led by Mehmed IV. Now, Mehmed IV, the Sultan, is sitting back in Constantinople. Instead, he sent a second guy, Kara Mustafa Pasha, to go lead the army. And this is how the Ottoman Empire worked. You had a Sultan, and then his second in charge, the Pasha. And he's a competent guy. He's had lots of military successes before. No reason this one won't work out, but it did not work out. Like I said, everything fell apart before they got there. And Mehmed was really upset because, Pasha didn't get fired. They chopped his head off. Yeah, on Christmas Day, actually, when he made it back. He said, "It is as God wills." Well, so much for that. In spite of it all, the siege almost worked. They almost charged into Vienna, despite everything that went wrong, until the charge of the Polish hussars, right? This was King John Sobieski came charging in at the last second, according to the records. You know how things get kind of dramatized sometimes. And they got this avenging angel kind of theme going on here, psychological warfare. But they charged in and hit the Ottoman Empire from the side and totally crushed the entire besieging army. Now, last time, like I said, it was just kind of a swing and a miss. The army came back intact. They didn't lose any territory. Prestige may take a slight hit, but they're basically okay. This time around, they lost the entire army, and look at this. See this stuff over here in the Crimea? They lost all of that in the wake of their defeat. The army gets destroyed. They lose territory that they'd had for 150 years, and of course, Mustafa gets his head chopped off when he makes it back to Constantinople. And of course, the Ottoman Empire is never the same afterwards. Some people try to make a big deal of the date, September 11th. Some people say September 12th. But the point is, the Ottoman Empire lost and lost bad. Mehmed gets taken out in a coup later on, but they don't even kill him. They just keep him prisoner over there in the palace for a long time. So if you need to write a term paper, I just gave you an idea. Comparing and contrasting 1529, 1683, Ottoman attempts at taking Vienna. Now, speaking of trying to take a city and failing, my Steelers didn't do too well over there in Indianapolis. And that was a strange game. They fell behind 17-0, had to fight their way out of the hole. They knocked out Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson, and here comes Joe Flacco, who I had no idea was still in the league. I mean, he came out of nowhere to lead the Browns into the playoffs last year. I thought he'd retire on a high note, but guy's a glutton for punishment. He's apparently playing for Indy, and he did a really great job. Yeah, led them to a victory over the Steelers. I mean, we're not going to win every game, I know. Lost this one 27-24, but I would rather lose to the Colts and beat Dallas next week. Okay, so I'm not too worried about that. Now, a lot of times, Yinzers are accused of living in the past, talking about the Steelers' 4 Super Bowls back in the 70s. You can talk about the 70s all you like, but they were pretty good in the 2000s too, got a couple Super Bowls there. So if you're going to live in the past, make it a little more recent past. But, if you're going to talk about dynasties, hey, I discovered a brand new one I didn't even know existed because, your pal Mr. H is more NFL guy than college football. The North Dakota State Bison. I didn't even really know about these guys. And I'm sitting right here in North Dakota right now. Yeah, how about that? I went on a little trip there. Me and Miss H were up here in North Dakota. I've learned all about these guys. Yeah, they play in the Fargo Dome. Your friend Mr. H isn't a big friend of domes, but I seem to like the Fargo Dome. It looks actually pretty cool. And, my theory is that playing in a dome makes you weaker. You need to play outside in the elements. Well, they're doing something right because there's a solid block of championships here, man. Look at the North Dakota State Bison championship list here. And they've got some reaching back into the 80s, but I decided to start with the new ones here. Look at this, 2011, 2012, 2013. There's a 3-peat. Let's go for a 4-peat. Let's go for a 5-peat. Right, missed in 2016. And here we go. Start a whole new streak here. 3 in a row. 2017, 2018, 2019. 2020, all kinds of things went wrong. 2021, we got another win. And look at this, man. They're undefeated 3 times and twice back-to-back. I mean, this is amazing for a dome team, which I usually scoff at domes, but these guys playing a dome, and they're virtually unbeatable. Maybe I have to rethink my theory over here a little bit about dome teams. Now, these are all the championship games they won. Notice they're in Frisco, Texas. Where's Frisco, Texas? That's in the Dallas area, right? So for a Yinzer, it's like going into Mordor to win the championship. And look at this. They're constantly there, man. So they might as well have a standing reservation there in Frisco, Texas. Yeah, that's where they play at Toyota Stadium, the FCS championship. They have it there every year. So it looks like a pretty nice small stadium. It's outdoors. So say what you will about this dome team. They're winning the championships outdoors at least. That's their visiting uniform. That's their home uniform. I kind of like it. Got that green and gold. Got the buffalo up there. It's what you expect. Team called North Dakota State Bison. And hey, what's he reading here? Is that the playbook? Don't you usually strap that to your wrist? I've seen a number of championships they have, so I guess I can't really argue with it. But he appears to be reading a playbook. Could also be reading my book, Heaven Steel, if they really want to. You can pick it up on lulu.com, other places too. But, they help out indie authors like your friend Mr. H over here. It's great to read when you're stuck at the airport, especially in Chicago. And somebody in the TSA had actually read it. Yeah, they saw it when they were doing the little thing, their little inspections and stuff. I was reading the book, walking into through the scanner with it. So somebody's read it, and it's great for swatting annoying people who come looking for $1 all the time, especially in Chicago. Anyway, back to our regular programming. Here's the visiting jerseys for North Dakota State University. It has a Green Bay Packer sort of look to it, but I guess I will forgive them. Mr. H doesn't like alternate jerseys, but I'm going to be honest. I kind of like this one. Yeah, look at that. Look at that helmet. Nice green helmet. Got the bison on it. I like to say buffalo. And look at this. Instead of a stripe, they got a wheat stalk. The rolling wheat fields of the Midwest. I guess that's kind of the theme they're going for. So, hey, I'm actually pretty impressed with North Dakota. Now, what am I doing up here in North Dakota? I'm looking here at the Western Interior Seaway. Yeah. This is North Dakota. It's like one big fossil field from one side to the other because of the Western Interior Seaway. It used to flow all the way in the late Cretaceous from 100 million years ago to 66 million years ago. So 34 million years of ocean fossils sitting here in the middle of North Dakota and the entire Midwest. Starts up here in the Arctic all the way down to the Caribbean. There, tell me in the comments if your state was underwater for 34 million years. So you can see how it comes down from the Arctic. Here's North Dakota, completely underwater. South Dakota, most of it. Western Minnesota over here. Down here, Kansas, all of Texas, including Frisco, about here someplace. As you can tell, Florida, it's been underwater 2 or 3 times. They see this projection going up the Mississippi. Once the land began to rise and the Western Interior Seaway was no more after 66 million years ago, this would remain, come back again and come back. So you find a lot of fossils along the Mississippi River. These are younger ones, like around the Cenozoic era. But nonetheless, here I am sitting right now, and there's one big fossil field across the entire state. You find mostly marine fossils, but some other stuff occasionally. Here's Cretaxorhina here and Squalocorax. We saw him last week. They found our teeth embedded in a dinosaur. They think it was floating around. Maybe it got yanked into the water. Who knows? This is a nodosaur. This was up in Alberta in Canada. Apparently fell into the water and drowned and got covered in the mud. So that's why it's so well preserved. You know exactly what it looks like. The Western Interior Seaway had a lot of predators, which is unusual because it wasn't that deep. It was only about 2,500 feet deep and about 100 miles wide, but tons of predators. We know this from all the fossils we find. Here's the big guy, the guy running the whole show, Tylosaurus, Platycarpus running around. This guy is very interesting here. I always mess this one up too. Ziphanctus, I think this is. It's not even a shark. That's a bony fish with a voracious appetite. They got a fossil of this thing where it swallowed another fish whole and died. Yeah, it's kind of those people you see at the buffet. They just keep eating, shoveling it in, man. You got to slow down for some air or something occasionally, right? Got a lot of plesiosaurs running around in here. So that's a lot of predators. And guess what? You're not done yet. Yeah, we got more of them, right? Cretaxorhina, we've seen him. Squalocorax, we've seen him. We got this, giant squids. These 2 things, I never even seen them before in my life. So these are kind of new animals for me. So lots of new things to discover. Even Mr. H doesn't know it all. Now, there's so many predators floating around, you figure out how come they didn't destroy each other. You would think that would be the first thing that would happen. So it's a phenomenon called a predation predator niche, right? And I'm looking at this, and it seems to make sense because you see it even in today's oceans. Like certain predators hang out at certain levels of the ocean. So the big guys are on the bottom, and they come up for air now and again. Smaller guys up and around who don't need air are up at upper levels. And of course, they fought each other. We know this. We have evidence of teeth marks and bones and everything. So we know there are quite a few fights. But the fact that they're still around means they didn't destroy each other. So either the predation niche is an actual solid theory, or the Cretaceous department had a very good HR department. That's all I can say, right? So I like this. This is a good picture. It's a mosasaur eating something. I like to think this guy's swimming around somewhere around Fargo, right? And of course, this is my all-time favorite Western Interior Seaway picture right here. Cretaxorhina jumping up and grabbing some kind of pterosaur of some kind. So that's what's going on up here. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Don't you forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to point out the many, many errors I've made. And do everything you can to help out your fellow humans down in North Carolina and Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee. And when you're done with that, do what you got to do to make sure the Steelers beat the Cowboys, right? Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Das Vidania.